Now, we all believe and we all came to a conclusion, all a common ground, that Bruno Fernandes was one of the worst players on the field of play when we played the side of FC20. And what made it worse was that Erik ten Hag went ahead to play him 90 minutes and took him from his favorite position and took him to the right attacking side of the midfield, where he has never been very deadly when it came to when it comes to obviously putting in the required shift altogether. And the manager known as Erik ten Hag has gone ahead obviously come out and obviously backed him that he's really gonna come good, and those are lapses. And I'm like, if you think he was that good and he was good to operate, then why do you get him out from his favorite position and you play him out of position? I think he was doing a disservice to Bruno Fernandes and make him look ugly in that game, because he would have gone ahead to do better. Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rock and David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are, and continue to subscribe to this channel to see that we hit 20,000 subscribers, and we will thank ourselves. And maybe we'll start throwing parties, by the way, for these channels, especially if at all we hit like 50,000. I'm like, if United Matters channel hits 50,000 fans, then we'll have something to celebrate. That is it. So let's work hard to hit 50,000 subscribers, and we'll come in here and obviously celebrate hugely about our milestone. So let's see close to 100 likes much of this video, and don't forget to subscribe, and let's hear what Erik ten Hag had to say about Bruno Fernandes, as he takes blame onto why Man United looked as we looked when we are playing or drawing to a side called FC20. Now, obviously, he came out and said the following on Bruno Fernandes, that Bruno is capable, and he has proven it for many years in the Premier League, that he can create a lot of chances. I'm convinced that he will find his form. He already creates chances, but he will make the final pass and score goals 100%. It is just a matter of time. Now, I love Bruno Fernandes as a player, and sometimes I feel like I'm doing a disservice to him coming in through and obviously blaming him. But I've always told you that every player is as good as his previous 90 minutes. And in a team like Manchester United, where we are getting the ball from the back line to the midfield, and the midfield obviously gives it to a creative midfielder like Bruno Fernandes, and if we don't create big chances and really score goals, that means he's not doing the needful. And that is it. And Bruno Fernandes has looked ugly ever since this season started. Is it because that he never had a preseason? That might be a reason. But I also believe in him, and I also really understand what Ten Hag is really telling us, that the player is gonna come good because he has been good before. And there is one thing I really hate about Bruno Fernandes, and you'll really excuse me for being repetitive about this. You know, I think he lacks that composure of a number 10. And when you look at the other number 10s that you compare him to, Odegaard, Kevin De Bruyne, James Maddison, Ebelechi Eze, Carl Palmer, I think you see to it that all the names I've gone ahead to mention, they have one thing in common, you know, or they have something that Bruno doesn't have. That's what we call the composure. You get? And the best decisions that Bruno is going to have to make when United is really in transition is when we are hitting on the brake. When we are hitting on the brake, most of the times, Bruno Fernandes gets it right. But when you're playing alongside the low block, it's very hard to see a Bruno masterclass pass, or that pinpointing pass, you know, that inviting pass. You get? That can really break down that back line, you understand? And you can get that from Carl Palmer, you can get it from James Maddison, you can get it from Martin Odegaard, you can get it from Kevin De Bruyne. And I think at the age of 30, Bruno should be doing this, and he should be the man carrying this team. I've been talking to one of the Chelsea fans, who's my friend, his known as Adam. I was talking to him and was like, but has been your best player? I told him, yes. Statistically, Bruno Fernandez has been the most consistent player at Manchester United ever since he signed for the club of Manchester United. No doubt, he has been our best player, but being the best doesn't mean that you are doing everything right. You might be the wise, one-eyed man among the blind. You get? And if this eyed man comes two-eyed, it can help the others because he can be now using two eyes. And this is what we want Bruno Fernandes to do. Let his second eye open up, that I have to be composed, and in that composure, I have to obviously lift up this team. And the other argument he told me was that maybe the people he plays around with are not good. You can't. And I was like, oh my God, you want to doubt the quality of Kobe Mainoo. You want to doubt the quality of Ericsson. You get? And the second argument was that maybe he needs to return back a lot. I was like, he's one of those people, he's one of those central attacking midfielders whose positional sense has huge question marks because he's rarely into the central axis of the pitch. You get? Those were my arguments onto Bruno Fernandes, and that has come out to really let me understand that he's being backed by the manager. I also back him, but we don't have time. We don't have time. I've been one of those people that's been backing Erik ten Hag, but if the worst goes to the worst and we lose games and he's sticking with Bruno Fernandes and Bruno Fernandes doing that, if he gets a sack, I won't really feel sorry for him because he's like taking himself into the sacking room and he's taking himself to the exit door of Carrington. You understand? So, with the board coming through and we're saying that they are really taking time, 3 years from now, that's when they expect to win a trophy, obviously. But I would like to let you know that if the worst goes to the worst, they will sack him. And I think he should really try out certain things, like getting Ericsson to play in the number 10 position in the dying minutes of the game, especially in games like those. Like when Crystal Palace is parking the bus, get Bruno off and put Ericsson in the number 10 position. He'll produce a moment of magic because we've seen him do that. You get? Even in the game of FC20, put Ericsson in the number 10 position, get Bruno off because Ericsson can come in through and operate for like 20 or 15 minutes effectively. He should be that backup plan like you see Real Madrid do to Luka Modric. Luka Modric rarely starts game at Real Madrid, but they bring him on in those minutes, obviously coming through and obviously create something magical because he's that kind of player that can do the magic. And for me, Erik ten Hag has to do that. You get? Because the best number 10 player that we have is Ericsson. But if you can play him as a number 8 for 60 minutes, that means if you get him off the bench and plays just 20 minutes of number 10, then he can do the needful. If at all the manager believes that Bruno doesn't deserve to be taken off the pitch, then take him to number 8 position, and play with maybe Ugarte or Kobe Mainoo, the double pivot, then put Ericsson. Because every time you take off Ericsson, we really lack creativity. And you saw it very well that when they are off, you saw what happened. It was Ahmad off, Ericsson off, and Joshua Zirkzee off. We lacked what we call creativity as FC20 went ahead to sit back. You understand? So, I also believe that Bruno will come good, but when will he come good? As he struggles to get back to his form, I think let him start to play 60 minutes, get him off, and get in Ericsson to do the job. And someone asked me out of Mason Mount. I believe if you are to really pick up form, we are supposed to obviously first start winning games. And in the due course of winning games, we'll obviously find ourselves in a position of really doing the needful. Now, after that, Ten Hag had said the following on Wednesday night about what happened when you're playing against FC20. Said the mentality of Biniman, the mentality of the team is very good. I've been in many games how high work. I've seen I've seen in many games how high our work ethic is, but today there are points to criticize. It's not just the team. I also have to look into the mirror. Obviously, he was going to blame the team, but he is also going to take the blame, and that is really very important, because for me, I think he's one of the reasons as to why that game went ahead to end that way. It would have gone ahead, obviously, end in a win, but the manager didn't do the due diligence of obviously checking himself out onto the substitutions, and you can't take out or take off those brain players that act well in tight spaces and unlocking those defenses. Joshua Zirkzee, Eriksson, and Amadi Diallo. And to my understanding, I think now time has come maybe to start Rasmus Højlund to lead the line and get Joshua Zirkzee as your backup plan. I think that should be, because Joshua Zirkzee comes with something different, that by the time, if a team is playing a low block, he can unlock it. If a team is playing a high block or a high line, he can come out and block it, and really open it up, So, such players should play off the bench. And even Eriksson, I think, should be played off the bench in those scenarios, because he comes on and obviously does something great. But him taking criticism too is really important, that he knows exactly what United is supposed to be looking at. And he also added and said the following, that when you play 60 minutes, when you play 60 games, there will always be games where you are not happy with the performance, but you are ambitious, and we always have to want more than the opponent. So I think there is some little bit of complacency in the game of Man United, like how we conceded the first goal against FC20, leave alone the error that this guy makes. And who is he? Eriksson. But count the players that this right back of FC20 skips past. That's what we are supposed to be looking at and asking ourselves, was it really called for? So I think we need to look through ourselves as a team of Manchester United, and I think we need to raise our standards up and up. Then he said, we created enough chances to score. It must not depend on two players, Zirkzee and Højlund, but also on the other players. We have enough players capable of scoring at the front of the attack. And the reason as to why we cannot really see ourselves go there, it's because one, Manchester United is having two players that aren't really helping the fluidity of the club going forward. That is Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandez. And if only Bruno can help us distribute this ball evenly to Rashford and Amad Diallo, then we can get the best. You saw how Amad Diallo was almost isolated in the first half. For the first 20 minutes, I never saw these people really looking out for him. Is it intended that they have to look out for Rashford? You get? And I want to see Bruno Fernandes distributing this ball evenly to both the right attacking midfielder and the left attacking midfielder. And if our Manchester United, I would have gone ahead to use the side of Amad a lot, because when Amad holds that ball, all the attention will draw to him, and Rashford will get his space that he wants, and the switch of play can really find him alone, and maybe he can act well, because it is that he's not a press-resistant player. He acts well when he has lots of spaces ahead of him. So, Ten Hag is going to back out Bruno Fernandes. I don't know what your thoughts are about it. Go into the comment section and tell me what you think about it. So, Rokan David is my name, and this is the first video of the day. The match preview is going to be loading, and very many things are really going to be talked about. I'm really planning more stuff concerning what Ten Hag said about Tottenham Hotspur and what Ange Postecoglou has to say about this beautiful fixture that is going to be played on a Sunday. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. We are out. Let's subscribe and see to it that we hit 20,000 subscribers. Not so? I know it's really possible and we can make it. Not so? From 1 subscriber to 19,000. 19,700. Not so? That is really a very huge milestone, and it's all courtesy of you guys. I love you. Die. Bye-bye.